Hi there and welcome back to the channel. Here in the UK earlier this week it was the annual photography show, which for the first time was co-located with the video show. This is the main annual event which brings together the main camera manufacturers, the retailers and also other associated manufacturers and providers of services in the photo and video space. It's a great opportunity to go and get hands-on with the latest gear, to see what's going on and get a feel for the market overall. It was great this year. There was a lot of activity and it showed to me that there's a really vibrant ecosystem which is continuing to grow and develop. As always, it was great to be able to get hands-on with the latest gear, to see what different manufacturers were bringing to market and actually get a feel for the equipment that you see reviewed here on YouTube so much. Not unsurprisingly, as a Z-series user, I spent a bit of time on the Nikon stand. Nikon had quite a big presence at the show. They had a mixture of presentations from their Nikon ambassadors. They had an area where you could try out the latest Z-series cameras, their DSLR range, all of the different lenses. And they had a showcase of the lenses or mock-ups of the lenses that are on the route map for the Z-series going forward, which was great to see how they're beginning to look. Of particular interest to me was the 2470 f2.8 Z-series lens. This is the first Pro offering from Nikon for the Z-series cameras and has a lot to live up to. I've got the 2470 f4 Z-series lens, which I still use in parallel with my f-mount f2.8 equivalent. Both of the f-mount and the Z-series f4 lenses are great lenses with great image quality. So the up-and-coming f2.8 has a lot to live up to. Whilst the f2.8 Z-series lens is still pre-production, it was possible to try the lens on a Z-series camera. My initial thoughts on it was that it's of a similar weight to my f-mount f2.8 lens, so there is a weight penalty, but it felt well produced. A lot of the glass is actually at the camera end of the lens, which gave it a really balanced feel when on a Z-series camera. It was very quiet and it was very quick to acquire focus, whether the focus was in the edges of the sensor or in the center. There's no doubt the function buttons will be quite useful, and that OLED display on the top, while slightly smaller than I was expecting, will be quite useful in displaying different information, whether it's the focal length or the depth of field, which is really good because that changes as you move from 24 to 70 on the OLED display. Key for me and many people will be the image quality and how it stands up compared to the f4 and the original f-mount 2.8 lenses. Because this was a pre-production lens, it's not possible to get that kind of comparison in the environment of a show. So we'll be watching and waiting as we get closer to the launch date, which has been said to be April this year. And it'll be really interesting to see a comparison between the new f2.8 Z-series lens, the f4 equivalent, and the original f-mount f2.8. The show's a great opportunity to talk to other photographers and videographers and gauge the level of activity around the major retailers. There seem to be some queues and a lot of activity around the trade-in areas at the retailers, and there seem to be a lot of purchases of mirrorless cameras. From talking to other photographers, there seems to be a growing confidence around the offerings from the major manufacturers in the mirrorless space, and therefore photographers are looking to take that weight and size advantage of the mirrorless cameras whilst not worrying about a degradation in performance from the DSLRs they're so used to. And therefore I think we are reaching a bit of a tipping point that I've spoken of before between DSLRs and mirrorless cameras. It was great to see a growing ecosystem at the show. There seemed to be a growing number of manufacturers and suppliers of services driven in part by the mirrorless camera market. There was also quite a bit of innovation going on, which was really good to see. So I think 2019 and 2020 will be really interesting years. I think we have reached a bit of a tipping point between DSLRs and mirrorless, and I think that will drive increased innovation in the market and also an increased focus on hybrid shooting that blend between photography and video. If you're at the photography show this week, perhaps drop a comment below about what you saw that you thought was interesting, what trend you picked up. It'd be great to see what your thoughts are, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos.